I was 2 weeks away from graduating summa cum laude from UCLA with a degree in biomedical engineering when my phone rang. It was Mom, calling during what should have been a celebratory time in my life. "Honey, we need to talk about graduation," she said, her voice already apologetic in that way that meant bad news was coming. My name is Emma, and I'd worked my entire college career for this moment. For years of 18-hour days, research labs, advanced calculus at 7 a.m., surviving on coffee and determination. I'd earned a 3.97 GPA, published 2 papers as an undergrad, and secured a full ride to MIT for my PhD program starting in the fall. And I'd done it all while my family barely noticed. "What about graduation?" I asked, setting down the textbook I'd been studying. "Well, you know your brother Jake's Super Bowl party is that same weekend, right?" I felt my stomach drop. "Mom, graduation is on Sunday at 2 p.m. The Super Bowl is Sunday evening. You could do both." "It's not that simple, sweetheart. The party starts at noon. Jake's bought all this food, invited all his friends. It's a really big deal for him. His first time hosting a Super Bowl party at his new place. And my graduation from UCLA isn't a big deal? Don't be dramatic, Emma. It's just a ceremony. You're already getting your degree regardless. But this party means a lot to your brother. He's been planning it for months." I sat there in my tiny dorm room, surrounded by textbooks and research papers, trying to process what I was hearing. My 25-year-old brother's Super Bowl party, his first time hosting friends to watch a football game, was more important than my college graduation. "What about Dad?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Your father agrees with me. He's actually the one who pointed out how disappointed Jake would be if we missed the party. You know how much your brother looks up to him. Jake, the golden child who dropped out of community college after 1 semester, who'd bounced between jobs for years before finally landing a position at a car dealership, who still lived off my parents' money while I'd paid my own way through school with scholarships, grants, and 2 part-time jobs. So you're not coming," I said flatly. "We'll celebrate with you when you come home for the summer. We can go to dinner, take photos, whatever you want. It'll be just as special." "No, it won't. Emma, please don't make this difficult. Your brother needs us there. You're strong and independent. You don't need us the same way he does." "That's actually a compliment to how well you've turned out," I heard shouting in the background. Jake asking if we were off the phone yet because he wanted to discuss beer options for the party. "I have to go," I said. "I have studying to do." "You're not mad, are you? You understand, right?" "Yeah, Mom. I understand perfectly." After hanging up, I sat there for a long time, staring at the acceptance letter from MIT that I'd pinned to my bulletin board. Full scholarship, living stipend, one of 12 candidates selected from over 3,000 applicants. The culmination of everything I'd worked for. And my parents were choosing a football party. I pulled out my laptop and did something I'd been considering for months, but hadn't had the courage to do. I opened a travel website and looked at flights to Boston. One-way tickets, departing the day after graduation. I'd been planning to spend the summer at home before starting at MIT. Planned to finally have time with my family, maybe get them to actually see who I'd become, what I'd accomplished. But in that moment, I realized they didn't want to see. They'd never wanted to see. I'd been trying to earn their attention for 22 years, and nothing I did would ever be as important as Jake's next mediocre achievement. So I clicked purchase on a one-way ticket to Boston, departing Monday morning. If they didn't want to be part of my biggest moment, they didn't get to be part of what came after. Graduation day arrived sunny and perfect. The ceremony was at the Rose Bowl, thousands of graduates in blue and gold, families filling the stands with cameras and proud tears. I sat in the biomedical engineering section, watching other students hug their parents, take photos, celebrate. I'd invited my roommate Sarah's family to sit in the seats I'd reserved for my parents. They'd enthusiastically agreed, treating me like their second daughter. When they called my name, Emma Catherine Martinez, summa cum laude, biomedical engineering, Sarah's parents stood up and cheered. Her little sister held up a sign that said, "Go Emma." Her mom was crying. My phone stayed silent. No text from my parents. No last-minute change of heart. They were probably at Jake's apartment right now, arguing about whether the chips were too salty. After the ceremony, Sarah's mom pulled me into a tight hug. "Your parents are missing out on the most incredible young woman. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." I cried then. Not sad tears, angry tears. relieved tears. Because in that moment, surrounded by people who chose to be there for me, I realized I'd been seeking validation from the wrong people my entire life. Dr. Chun, my research advisor, found me in the crowd. "Emma, congratulations. I'm so excited for your MIT journey. They're lucky to have you." "Thank you, Dr. Chun, for everything, for believing in me." "I didn't believe in you, Emma. I recognized what was already there. You did this yourself." He paused. "Are your parents here? I'd love to meet them." "They couldn't make it." He looked at me for a long moment, the kind of look that said he understood exactly what that meant. "Then they missed something extraordinary. But you didn't need them to be extraordinary. Remember that." That evening, Sarah's family took me to dinner. Fancy restaurant, champagne toast, the whole celebration I'd imagined having with my own family. Her dad gave a speech about watching me work so hard for 4 years, about being inspired by my dedication. "To Emma," he said, raising his glass, "who taught me that family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's who chooses to show up." My phone buzzed during dessert. A text from Mom. "How was graduation? Send pics." I stared at it. She wanted pictures. Proof she could share that her daughter graduated, even though she hadn't bothered to be there. I typed out a response. "It was perfect. You should have been here." Then I deleted it and wrote instead. "It was great. I'm leaving for Boston tomorrow instead of coming home. I'll send you my new address once I'm settled." The response came immediately. "Tomorrow? But we planned a family dinner for when you got home. To celebrate, you planned a Super Bowl party. I'm making different plans. Emma, don't be like this." We explained why we couldn't come. And I'm explaining why I'm not coming home. I have a life to start. I turned off my phone and focused on the people at the table. People who'd shown up, who'd celebrated, who'd made me feel seen. Sarah leaned over. "You okay?" "Actually, yeah. I really am." That night, I finished packing the small suitcase I'd prepared. Everything else, furniture, books, the accumulation of 4 years, I donated or gave to Sarah. I didn't want anything tying me to a past where I was invisible. Tomorrow, I'd get on a plane to Boston, to MIT, to a new life where my achievements mattered, where my presence was valued, where I wasn't constantly competing with a mediocre brother for scraps of attention. I'd spent 22 years trying to be enough for my family. Starting tomorrow, I'd be enough for myself. Boston in June was beautiful. I arrived with 1 suitcase, a laptop, and no plan beyond start over. MIT had provided graduate student housing starting in August, but I had 2 months to fill. I found a sublet in Cambridge through a housing board, a tiny room in a shared apartment with 2 other grad students. I got a job at a research lab that needed summer help. I explored the city, ate alone at restaurants, went to museums, read in coffee shops. And I didn't call home. My phone rang constantly those first 2 weeks. Mom called 7 times the first day. Dad called twice. Even Jake called once, sounding confused about why I wasn't answering. I sent one group text. "I'm settling in. I need space. I'll reach out when I'm ready." Mom's response. "This is ridiculous. You're punishing us for missing one ceremony." One ceremony. As if my college graduation was equivalent to Jake's little league game or school play. I didn't respond. Instead, I focused on work. The research lab I'd joined was studying neural regeneration. The lead researcher, Dr. Patricia Walsh, was brilliant and demanding. She saw my UCLA transcripts and immediately gave me real responsibilities. "You've published before," she said, not a question. "You understand rigorous methodology." Good. I need someone who won't waste my time. Working with Dr. Walsh was intense, but incredible. She pushed me harder than anyone ever had, but she also saw me. Really saw me. My ideas mattered. My contributions were acknowledged. When I solved a problem no one else could crack, she didn't diminish it or redirect credit. She celebrated it. "You're going to be successful, Emma," she told me one evening as we locked up the lab. "Not because of your grades or your publications, though those are excellent, but because you have something rare. You don't need external validation to know your worth." I used to need it, I admitted. Desperately. Most of us do. The question is whether you learn to live without it or spend your life chasing it from people who won't give it. 6 weeks into my Boston life, I got an email from Mom. Subject line, "We need to talk." The email was long, emotional, full of hurt feelings about how I was abandoning the family and being selfish. She didn't apologize for missing graduation. She didn't acknowledge why I'd left. Instead, she listed all the ways my absence was hurting her. Your father is disappointed in you. Jake doesn't understand why you're being so cold. I'm heartbroken that my daughter would cut us off over something so trivial. We raised you better than this. I read it 3 times. Then I saved it in a folder labeled Remember Why and didn't respond. Instead, I called Sarah, who'd become my closest friend. They still don't get it. Did you expect them to? Part of me hoped. I don't know. That they'd realize what they'd done. That they'd apologize. Emma, people who are capable of genuine self-reflection don't skip their kids' college graduation for a football party. You're waiting for awareness that doesn't exist. She was right. I was still seeking something from them that they couldn't give. That night, I made a decision. I'd build a life so full, so meaningful, so successful that their absence would be their loss, not mine. Not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. I started my PhD program at MIT that fall. I threw myself into research, into building relationships with people who valued me, into creating a chosen family of brilliant, supportive people who showed up. And slowly, the wound of being unseen by my biological family began to heal. 3 years passed. I published 5 papers. I won 2 prestigious research grants. I presented at international conferences. I built a life in Boston that was fuller and richer than anything I'd imagined. And I maintained minimal contact with my family. Birthday texts, holiday emails, brief, polite, distant. Then one day, my phone rang with Dad's number. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken in over a year. But something made me pick up. Emma. His voice sounded older, strained. We need to talk. It's about your brother. My stomach tightened. Is he okay? He lost his job. Again. He's been living with us for 8 months. Your mother and I are trying to help him get back on his feet, but... He paused. We need your help. My help how? We thought maybe you could talk to him. You turned out so well, so successful. Maybe you could mentor him, help him see that he needs to take his life seriously. I actually laughed. Bitter, sharp. You want me to mentor Jake? The brother whose Super Bowl party was more important than my UCLA graduation. Silence. Then. Emma, are you still hung up on that? It's been 3 years. Hung up on it. Dad, you missed the biggest achievement of my life for a football game. And now you want me to help the son you chose over me. We didn't choose. You did. Explicitly. You chose his party over my graduation. You chose his feelings over mine. You've been choosing him over me my entire life. That's not fair. Your brother struggles more than you do. He needs more support. Because you've never made him stand on his own. You've enabled him for 28 years while I've built my entire life alone. And now that I'm successful, you want me to share that success with him. He's your brother. He's a stranger who has never once asked about my life, my work, my achievements. When was the last time Jake asked me how I was doing? When did he congratulate me on my research grant? When did he show up for anything that mattered to me? Dad was quiet for a long moment. Your mother and I are getting older, Emma. We won't be able to support him forever. We thought family. Family shows up, Dad. Family celebrates achievements. Family doesn't skip graduations for parties. You want to talk about family? I have family. I have people in my life who've been to every presentation, every defense, every milestone. They're not related by blood, but they're more family than you've ever been. So you're just going to abandon your brother when he needs you? I'm going to prioritize the people who prioritized me. That's not abandonment. That's reciprocity. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but I felt oddly calm. Clear. An hour later, Mom called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I can't believe you'd turn your back on family like this. After everything we've done for you. We put a roof over your head, paid for your food, supported you for 18 years. And this is how you repay us? By refusing to help your brother in his time of need. I listened to it once, then deleted it. That evening, my chosen family, my research team, took me out for drinks to celebrate a paper acceptance. Dr. Walsh raised her glass. To Emma, who continues to prove that brilliance and kindness can coexist. My phone buzzed with another message from Mom. I silenced it and focused on the people at the table. The people who showed up. 5 years after leaving California, I defended my PhD dissertation. Dr. Walsh cried during my defense. My entire chosen family filled. The room, colleagues, friends, my partner Marcus, whom I'd met at a conference 2 years earlier. My biological family wasn't there. I didn't invite them. I got engaged to Marcus 6 months later. He was a neuroscientist, brilliant and kind, who'd also grown up with a family that didn't understand him. We bonded over being self-made, over choosing our own families, over building lives that our parents couldn't comprehend. When we started planning the wedding, Marcus asked the question I'd been avoiding. Are you inviting your parents? I thought about it for a long time. Part of me wanted to. Part of me still longed for their approval, their presence, their pride. But then I remembered graduation day. Sitting in that stadium, watching Sarah's family cheer for me while my parents argued about chips at Jake's party. No, I said finally. I'm not. Are you sure? I spent 22 years begging for their attention. I'm not going to beg them to celebrate my wedding. If they couldn't show up for my graduation, they don't get to show up for this. The wedding was small, intimate, filled with people who'd actively chosen to be part of our lives. Dr. Walsh officiated. Sarah was my maid of honor. Marcus's chosen family and mine merged into one beautiful celebration of people who understood that family is built, not given. 3 days before the wedding, I received a letter from Mom. Handwritten, 8 pages long. The first 7 pages were about hurt feelings, about how cruel I was being, about how family is supposed to forgive, about how I was breaking her heart by excluding them. The 8th page was different. I've been reading your publications online. I don't understand most of them, but I looked up the journals. They're prestigious. Your father showed me your university profile. It says you've won awards. I don't know when you became this person. I don't know when my little girl became Dr. Emma Martinez, renowned researcher. I wish I'd been paying attention. Jake is struggling. He always has. He needed us more, so we gave him more. We thought you were fine because you never asked for help. We thought you didn't need us because you were so capable. We were wrong. You did need us. You needed us to show up. And we didn't. I'm sorry we missed your graduation. I'm sorry for everything we missed after. But mostly, I'm sorry that we made you feel like you had to choose between having a family and being yourself. I understand why we're not invited to your wedding. We didn't earn the right to be there. I hope you're happy, Emma. I hope the life you've built is everything you deserve. Love, Mom. I cried reading it. Not sad tears, releasing tears. Because even though it was too late, even though I'd built my life without them, the acknowledgement mattered. I didn't change my mind about the wedding, but I sent her photos afterward, and I included a note. Thank you for your letter. I am happy. The life I built is everything I needed it to be. I did become fine, but not because I didn't need you. I became fine despite not having you. Maybe someday we can build something new. Not parent and child, but 2 adults who respect each other. But that has to be built on showing up, not just saying sorry. I hope you understand. Emma. I never heard back. But I also stopped waiting for a response. Because that one-way ticket I bought 5 years ago didn't just take me to Boston. It took me to a life where I was enough, where my achievements mattered, where the people around me showed up not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. My parents skipped my graduation for a Super Bowl party. And in doing so, they gave me the greatest gift. The realization that I didn't need their validation to be extraordinary. I was already enough. I always had been.